Bonsoir à toutes, bonsoir à tous,
evening,
bienvenue
everybody.
à
Welcome
Opinion,
to Opinions,
l'émission de la TV du
the
Festival
program
de Cannes
on TV
qui vous
Festival,
révèle tout sur les
which
deux films
reveals
projetés
a
aujourd'hui,
whole lot
deux
of scoops
journalistes
about the
des
two
pays en
films in
provenance de ces
competition. We
films.
have two
Ce soir,
guest
Stevie Wong de
journalists
Star TV
to
Asia
talk about the
et
film,
Paolo
Stevie Wong
Mereghetti
from
vont
Star
nous parler des
TV
deux films en
Asia and Paolo
compétition, Mountains
Mereghetti from
May
Il
Depart
Corriere
du chinois
della
Jiang
Sera
Zhake
are going to
et
talk about the film
Sius de
Mountains
Paolo
May Depart
Sorrentino
by
qui ont été projetés à la presse aujourd'hui.
Zhake and
Mais
Youth
avant ça, messieurs,
by
je vais vous poser une
Paolo
petite
Sorrentino.
question.
But first of all, I'm going to
Jusqu'ici,
ask you,
quels sont
gentlemen,
vos petits
up
coups de
until
cœur,
now,
vos films
what are your
préférés?
favorite films?
Bon, je commence. Je voudrais pas sembler trop italienne, mais Mia Madre, je l'ai beaucoup aimé.
I don't want to. I'll start. I think the Mia Madre film is a beautiful film, and then the Todd Haynes film Carol, and also the Hungarian film Son of Saul.
Voilà, ça, je sais pas le titre original.
Yeah, those are the three films which have really stood out for me so far. Yes, those are the three films which people mention the most. How about you, Steve?
Also Carol, and then also there's Amy, which is out of the competition, and Lobster was my other favorite film of the festival.
Bon, bah, très bien. Alors, on va commencer par
Very
parler par
good.
le film
Let's
italien en
start talking
compétition aujourd'hui,
talking
Youth de
about
Paolo
Youth by
Sorrentino.
Paolo
Le film a été
Sorrentino
très
from
attendu ce
Italy.
matin en
Everyone was
projection
keenly
presse. Il va
awaiting the
être
screening.
très attendu ce
This
soir
morning, the
après la
journalists
montée des
saw
marches.
it, and there'll be
Et
the
tout
red
de suite,
carpet
pour nous
this
plonger
evening.
dans l'ambiance
To
du
get us
film, je
into
vous
the
propose de
mood
regarder la
of
bande-annonce
Youth,
de
let's take a
Youth
look
de
at the
Paolo
trailer.
Sorrentino.
Do you see that mountain over there? Everything seems really close. That's the future. And now, everything seems really far away. That's the past.
Sometimes I feel like throw my hands up in the air.
A massage, a sauna, checkups with the doctor to help you get back in shape.
At my age, getting in shape is merely a waste of time.
And are you still directing or composing, Maestro?
Oh, no, I'm retired.
Did you take a piss today?
4 drops. You?
The same, more or less.
More or less?
Less.
Gosh, you guys have got a strange friendship.
Strange? The good friendship, you only tell each other the good thing.
Mummy would explain to us. Quiet, Daddy's composing. Quiet, Daddy has Stravinsky coming to the house later tonight. But who were you?
Do you know who composed that piece?
No. Who?
Me.
Today?
Not today. Let's hope we take a piss tomorrow.
Voilà donc Youth de Paolo
So
Sorrentino,
there we
le
have
film italien
a
présenté
taste from the
en
film Youth by
compétition ce
Paolo
matin.
Sorrentino
Alors,
in
Paolo,
competition.
qu'est-ce que vous en avez pensé de ce Youth?
Paolo, what did you think about this film?
Opinion plutôt partagée. Il y a des choses que j'ai beaucoup
there are
aimées,
certain
comme
things which I
toujours,
really liked, as
dans les films de
always in
Sorrentino, cette
Sorrentino's films.
capacité
His
de
ability
fixer dans une image
to capture in an image an idea, a beautiful thing, but other things which I didn't really like. I get that impression that he's trying to make a very intelligent declaration, but at the end he overdoes it a little bit. His way of telling the story, not with a story which unfolds, with no narrative arc, but rather a compilation of events, characters. Well, that's typically Sorrentino. Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't appeal to me. I don't like it. There's too much in there. What I like about the film is the relationship between Michael Caine and Harvey Keitel. That's wonderful. It's really well acted. I hear that it's inspired by the relationship between Enrico Morricone and Sergio Leone. Do you think that's true? I didn't know that. I'd not heard that. I know Sorrentino had various ideas. The concert for the the Queen. He got that idea from the musical director, who did not accept to go and play at the Royal Palace, at Buckingham Palace. The idea of these two friends talking about the same woman, whether they had her or didn't have her, that comes from a scene with Francesco Rosi. And the idea of Sergio Leone and Morricone, I don't know, I think that's a bit fantasy. Shane, it would have been a nice idea. We're saying that because the film focuses on a musician who's played by Michael Caine and his friendship at a kind of spa, a wonderful spa in Switzerland with Harvey Keitel, who's playing a filmmaker who's having a difficult time in his career. Stevie, do you think this is a film which can travel well?
Actually, I do. It's got so many easy images that people can relate to, and this. It's also in English, so that kind of expands the audience immediately to the rest of the world. And the fact that we have such wonderful two leads with Michael Caine and Harvey Keitel, who look like they should be in every single movie together. They need a TV show because they need to go on the road, they need to do a cooking show together. It's just so much fun watching these two kind of play off each other.
Paolo, un petit mot justement sur cette relation.
Paolo, how about this relationship between Michael Caine and Harvey Keitel, which really is the key attraction in this film?
Ça va, c'est vraiment basé là-dessus. C'est
The film
vraiment
really does focus on their
le
friendship.
centre du film.
That is the heart of the film. Exactly. It really is the very crux of the film. The relationship between these great actors. Sorrentino had said if Caine had refused to act, he wouldn't have made the film, because, and I can understand that, because it is Michael Caine that captures all that beauty, that strength, and injects it into the film. He's the one who has the important messages to convey. That's the beautiful thing about the film. There are some very interesting and moving things in their relationship, in their conversations. And that's what I like most about the film. Do you think that the work on age, which he started in La Grande Bellezza, The Great Beauty, is coherent?
Il y a toujours cette obsession du temps qui
He's always
s'envole.
obsessed
Je
by
rappelle aussi
time
le
going
Nanni
by.
Moretti de
Nanni Moretti
uno splendido quarantenne.
said he was talking about splendid
dans
when
le
he was
film Avril.
40s in the
C'est
film
un peu
April. It's
de
more or
ces
less the
metteurs en scène qui
same
arrivent au
kind of
succès
thing.
vers 40-50
Director
ans,
who
et
is
qui
successful at 40 to
font
50
les
years
comptes
age
avec,
and
le temps
takes a
qui
look
passe.
back at time
Je
that's
pense qu'ici, c'est un
gone
peu une
past
espèce
already.
de progression, parce
It's
que
like a
il arrive à la
progression,
fin
if you
à
like,
accepter
because
plutôt une idée
he's
de,
finally
de
accepting
travail qui on peut
the idea of work that you can leave to one side perhaps and not be obsessed with your work as Harvey Keitel is. I think he wants to be more Michael Caine than Harvey Keitel,
ou le protagoniste de La Grande Bellezza.
or the protagonist in The Great Beauty. I like the work of Sorrentino, and I think what I like most in his films are the secondary characters. Jane Fonda plays an unforgettable role. I think everyone would agree about that. There are other supporting roles. Rachel Weisz, Paul Dano, who plays that actor who's doubting about his future career. What do you think about the way he uses those supporting characters? Is this typical of the great Italian cinema of the 60s, where the supporting roles were so well described and were so important? I think there's a difference. In major Italian films from the 60s, the supporting characters had a specific role to play. They were either the baddie or the friend or the good guy. Here, in this film, they're more complex. Sometimes we'd like to find out a little bit more about these secondary characters, but Sorrentino uses them for small scenes and then leaves us wanting more. We want to find out more about them. What are they going to go on to do? And of course, there's Sorrentino's direction. He is very geometrical in the construction of his different shots. Through all of his films, from the very beginning, from The Consequences of Love. But he uses the techniques differently. Shall we talk about the technique this time?
I have to bring up because Paolo said that the film is very almost like it's planned. So it's like when you watch this film, every scene is set up to be this beautiful kind of setup of sorts, you know, and And so therefore it doesn't feel like a whole film, it feels like a bunch of scenes thrown in together. So that's why I wasn't that involved with it, but I still admired the fact that each scene was so much fun to look at. So that was kind of my take from the whole thing.
Paolo, un petit mot là-dessus?
Paolo? Would you like to add anything?
Le cinéma de Sorrentino, c'est un film.
Sorrentino's films sometimes leave us a little bit of space to add our own contribution to the images. It's very enigmatic in many ways, and that is his way of making films, allowing the viewer some freedom.
La complexité d'intervenir
sometimes because it's a very complex scene, the viewer can just put his own meaning to what he sees on the screen. I like that, having to figure things out most of the time, but other times I can't really grasp what he's getting at.
D'accord, et bien voilà.
Okay,
donc,
fair enough. Youth by Paolo Sorrentino, which was the first film screened today in competition at the 68th Cannes Film Festival. It will be on the red carpet this evening. The other film in competition today is by Jia Zhangke. Am I pronouncing that okay? Mountains Made Apart, Chinese film in competition. Let's take a look at a few images and then we'll talk about it.
"这是爸爸要带我去的地方。妈妈给你准备了一副钥匙，大的是大门的，小的是客厅的。家里的钥匙，你应该有一副。你的家，随时可以回来。
Voilà, donc Mountains
So there we have the film Mountains Made Apart, directed by Jia Zhangke. What is the original title, Stevie?
和故人, which is Mountains Made Apart. You know, so yes, it's a very nice translation actually.
C'est moi, j'ai envie de vous entendre sur.
I would like to hear you talk a little bit about this filmmaker, Jia Zhangke. He came to Cannes with Touch of Sin. He's going that step further this time. It's a stronger message, a stronger film, better direction again. How is he perceived in China?
Actually, I think like the last film, Touch of Sin, was a very big departure from his previous work, because his previous work is kind of more observational, but that one felt a very, very kind of, there was an aggression that wasn't there before, there was an anger, and now he's kind of going backwards and being back to his whole, like, you know, kind of sensing, like talking about the history and the people of his hometown, which is where it's predominantly located in. And back in China, he is considered an art house director, and unfortunately, in this kind of world of very high commercialism, where something like Fast and Furious and Avengers are doing very, very well, he's a bit of an anomaly. And you know, this man is a man who, previous films, up until his fourth film, was still considered not available to the public, and so I think people are slowly getting to understand his work and the kind of messages that he's trying to do, and it helps that the actors are also very big, you know, so now we have the recognition of stars kind of being part of his work.
Oui, d'ailleurs, si je ne me trompe pas, Stevie,
Unless I'm mistaken,
le
Stevie,
personnage de la dernière partie du film,
the person
interprété
in
par
the
Sylvia Chang,
final
c'est
part
votre
in
tante,
the
n'est-ce pas?
film, Sylvia Chang, is your
She
auntie.
Yes, I grew up with this woman. This is kind of, and this is quite embarrassing. I didn't realize this until I got to Cannes, that she was part of this film. And so, yes, I'm going to see her later to congratulate her.
Alors, ce qui est vraiment joli, ce qui est très bien.
The lovely thing, the successful thing in the film is that there are 3 periods of time.
Dans le passé, dans le
We're in
présent,
the
et aussi
past,
une partie
present,
dans le
and slightly in the
futur.
future
Ça dit à la
also.
fois que ces
So
personnages
that
évoluent,
means
mais
that
qu'en même
these
temps, tout
characters
reste
are
pareil. Ça dit
evolving,
à la fois que cette
but
Chine évolue, mais
certain
qu'en même
things
temps,
remain
elle
the same.
reste la même.
China is
Est-ce que,
evolving, but
vous
China
avez
also
ressenti la même
remains
chose
the
en voyant
same.
le film?
Did you feel that?
Well, it's kind of fascinating how the movie begins with the dance sequence of Go West, and that kind of really sets up everything, which is, you know, back in the 90s, everything was about let's see what's out there, because finally we have access to these things. And so, you know, we see the racial aspect, which is like it's a small world, and then once we get to 2040, it gets bigger, and then once we get to the future, it's this whole vast, extreme kind of space that everybody like seems to be happy in, but they're probably not. And so, yeah, it's very interesting how he's kind of approaching all of this, and I think at the end of the day, he's a very sentimental person. I don't think he enjoys this kind of fast forward into the Western, you know, commercial world that we live in, and in China especially lives in.
Et on termine avec Go West, le film aussi.
And we finish with
Yes.
Go West also.
C'est Paolo, je voudrais vous demander, il y a
Paolo,
une astuce de mise en scène, il y a quelque
There's
chose
some
d'assez remarquable dans le film,
clever
c'est cette
direction
projection dans le futur
projecting
pour
into
nous
the
faire
future
connaître la nostalgie
to
d'aujourd'hui.
reveal
C'est
to
quelque chose de
us
très
a
beau
nostalgia
qui m'a
for
profondément
today, and
touché
that
en
really
tant que
moved
spectateur.
me as a
Comment vous
viewer.
comment l'avez
How
reçu?
did
Moi
you
aussi, j'étais vraiment
welcome that?
ému
I was
du
also
film de
moved
Jie Zhangke.
by Jie Zhangke's film. He is one of the most interesting directors from China at the moment. We really loved him when he came to Venice. He got a Golden Lion a few years ago. The most extraordinary thing is his ability to tell a very simple story, to describe a daily scene in the kitchen, or a funeral, or a lesson, or the desire to sing a song, and to be able to expand it, to make it bigger, and take it towards a thought process on the question of China and his own cultural roots, which are being destroyed by modernity, by money. And that is his great gift.
Très rapidement, parce que je vais
Very
devoir
quickly,
en antenne, mais vous pensez que le film peut
do
aller
you
très
think
loin,
this
au
film
niveau
has
de-
a future here in Cannes? And will it get a prize? Will the critics like it? Will we be talking about this film next Sunday?
I do like the film. I'm not sure if the film has a chance in terms of winning something like the Palme d'Or. I think Son of Saul has a much higher chance if we're going to go by the odds at this point, or maybe even Carol, because these are kind of splashier, more technical kind of movies where people just there's nothing wrong with them. Whereas Jie Zhangke has faults, you know, and there's a lot of you know, it's not the perfect movie, but it's a nice film, and so you know, unless Palme d'Ors go to nice movies, then I have a feeling that this is not going to win this year.
Paolo, là-dessus?
Pour moi,
Paolo.
le film peut aller loin parce que c'est
En fait,
plutôt original dans
this is
dans sa
a very
écriture, dans
original
sa
film.
façon
It's
de
written
construire
very
le film.
originally.
Et
It's
donc,
constructed
je
in an
pense que ça, c'est
original
toujours le
manner.
problème des
It's always the
goûts
problem
du
with the
jury.
taste
Mais je
of
pense
the
que le frère
jury.
Cohen
But the
et
Coen
Xavier
brothers
Dolan
and
peuvent
Xavier
aimer un
Dolan
film comme
could
ça.
like a film
bien,
like
écoutez,
this
on saura ça
particular one.
dimanche
Well, we'll
prochain.
find
Messieurs,
out on
merci
Sunday.
beaucoup de
Thank
nous
you very
avoir
much, gentlemen,
accompagnés
for coming
dans ce
into the
Opinion
studio
consacré
for
donc à Youth et au
opinions
film de Jie Zhangke.
dedicated
Donc,
to
pardonnez-moi,
Mountains May Depart and
les deux
Youth.
films en
The two
compétition
films in
aujourd'hui.
competition
Dans quelques
here today. In a few
Anne va
moments,
venir,
Anne
reprendre sa place
will
ici pour le
come to the
Happy Hour. Moi, je
studio for
descends sur
Happy
les
Hour.
marches
I
et
will
on va
be going
vous faire
down to the
vivre en
red
direct
carpet,
la
and
montée
we
des
will
marches
share with you
du
the
film de
red
Paolo
carpet
Sorrentino,
for the
Youth.
Sorrentino
Merci
film
encore,
Youth.
messieurs, et à
Thank you
demain
again,
pour Opinion.
gentlemen. See you tomorrow for more opinions.